So in this project, I built personal expense tracker using WinForm in C Sharp. But the main objective is to use some of the core concepts of object-oriented programming, such as modularity, reusability, abstraction, and also encapsulation. So let's look at how this app works as I walk you through. So basically what this app does is that you are able to input in your personal expenses for a particular point in a particular time. And once you click the add expense button, the summary of your expenses is printed in the data grid view, which is below the add expense button. So some of the tools that I used are Xbox, Combo Box, and Data Grid. And then I also use Date and Time View also to develop this app. But like I said, the main aim is to show how, not the UI logic, but to show how I was able to use some of these core concepts of object-oriented programming. So let me start from modularity. That is ability to create different segments of codes into logical components so that it can be used or can be reused. Let me put it that way. So let me go through my form. So you can see that I have three logical components of code here. The first one, expense.cs. That's the first logical component of code. That is the data structure. And then also the business logic. That is the logic behind the app. And then also the third one is where the UI logic, where I created the form. So let me go into the data structure. So here it can be seen that I've created class expense. And then why would I, and that that is for the purpose of encapsulation. That is to be able to build data and behavior into single unit. So I created this class with different data sets to be able to put them together into a single unit. And this is good because it makes the data well structured and also can be reusable anytime. And another thing is that it is easy to fix errors when you build it this way. At the same time, it is not only this data, when you go to the business logic, that is the main where all the everything happens. Also, you can see that if you look at the class form, my class here, I've also created a couple of objects. You can see these objects list experience. Then we can also, if you come down here, you can also see this object here, data grid view dot data source. All these are objects that I created to also make use of some of the core concepts of object-oriented programming. Then also another important aspect of object-oriented programming is also abstraction. That is to be able to hide uh, internal operation of the complexity of the whole coding system so that the UI only need to click a particular button, doesn't have to be worried about what goes on in the business logic, and everything works perfectly for that. So basically, this is what the code does, and I'm going to operate again from the start. Okay, so let's look at it. I think there is a little problem with my playview. Let me just do it right here. Okay. So you are able to put in the date, whatever date you want, and then once you do that, you can choose from a category of expenses like transportation, and then the amount in dollars, 20, and then description is, let's say, transportation, let's say to school, right? Then you can add it to your um set of summary of expense. So basically that is how it works. And let me take you through the code segments again. So like modularity purposes, I divided the code into 3 logical components, and that makes it easy for debugging and also makes it easy to fix errors and makes also easy for you to reuse some of this data. Then also I've already talked about the use of class and objects, being able to group different set of data, and also behavior into one single unit. So basically that is it for the call. Thank you very much.